So, was it a waste of time or, as some critics say, even unconstitutional? Here now for a fair and balanced debate, Congressman Dan Lungren, a Republican from California who voted in favor of the resolution, and Annie Laurie Gaylor of the Freedom from Religion Foundation joins us by phone. We welcome you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congressman, why did you think it was important to vote on this when there are so many other things that people would like to see Congress doing?
Well, first of all, we've got 16 bills on jobs that we've sent to the Senate they haven't acted on, so the suggestion by the President we're not acting on jobs is nonsense. Secondly, at all times in the history of this nation when we have dealt with difficult circumstances, and this economy is in difficult circumstances, we have acknowledged our reliance on God, and we have as a country recognized the origins of a dependence on a religious belief in this country. And frankly, it's under attack by a number of different groups in this country who believe that somehow it is inconsistent with the Constitution when we believe it's entirely consistent with the Constitution and ought to be a strength of our country, not something viewed as a weakness.
Well, Ms. Gaylor, you're with the Freedom from Religion Foundation, one of the groups who does have a problem with this motto. In fact, you sued to stop it from being engraved into the new Capitol Visitor Center, a lawsuit that was later thrown out. What are your objections to this motto and making it official?
Well, I object, first of all, that the House Majority Leader, Eric Cantor, was on record saying that he would actively prevent any votes on new legislation that is not substantive and meaningful. And you cannot make a case that this vote was substantive or meaningful. It was political grandstanding. It was a religious test for public office. It's a gotcha issue. And I think it's important for the nation to know that the original motto is E Pluribus Unum, chosen by a distinguished committee of Jefferson, Franklin, and Adams. And In God We Trust was adopted at the height of the McCarthy era in 1956 as a second motto. And in order for it to be accurate, it would have to say, in God some of us trust, because many good Americans do not believe in a God. And that would be a very silly motto, wouldn't it? In God We Trust is meaningless to those of us who are God-free. We are the fastest growing segment of the adult population, 16% and even faster among young people. A quarter of the population now questions the belief in God among 15 and 25-year-olds. So this is a very exclusionary act, and what I objected to the most was that Congress, the House, went on record saying that In God We Trust should be displayed in all public buildings, including public schools. And I think this is a very wrong. This is wrong for children to have to go to school and be faced with a God litmus test.
Congressman, what do you make of those objections?
Well, they're historically inaccurate. William O. Douglas, about as liberal a member of the U.S. Supreme Court as you could ever find, once said in an official comment that the United States is a religious people whose institutions presuppose a supreme being. I mean, you talk about George Washington, his farewell address. You talk about the words of our Declaration of Independence. You talk about John Adams, who told us our Constitution would be insufficient for a people that were not moral and religious. Those are his words. You talk about Abraham Lincoln. You talk about Franklin Delano Roosevelt in the depths of the difficulty of World War II. You talk about Martin Luther King, who made specific appeals to our religious heritage in order for us to recover from the terrible discrimination that was visited upon minorities in this country. Historically, this is a country that has acknowledged its religious foundations. Now, that doesn't mean everyone has to be religious, but the freedoms that are granted in this country, are recognized in this country, frankly, come from our founding fathers believing that we had an intimate relationship with a God who gave us these rights, and therefore these rights cannot be taken from us by other people, other men or women or government. That is a revolutionary idea that forms the basis of our government, and to deny that denies history.
Well, I'm afraid that the Representative Lundgren appears to have never read the Constitution, which is in fact a godless document. It's entirely secular, and its only references to religion are exclusionary, such as that there should be no religious test for public office. Our founders were, in truth, very radical. They deliberately formed a country that did not have its basis on a God. We have no God in our government, no God in our Constitution. The sovereignty is invested, the power is invested in we the people, not some divinity. And if you go and compare our Constitution to theocracy constitutions, you see the difference. So what
well,
he's
if
saying
you-
is
if you remember
historically
this-
inaccurate.
No,
All right.
no. If you've just taken the position of Stephen Douglas in the Lincoln-Douglas debates, and the response by Abraham Lincoln was, if that's true, we ought to tear up the statutes of the United States that make reference to the Declaration of
All right.
Independence. Abraham Lincoln strongly
don't live
argued
under the
that you
Declaration of
cannot
Independence.
understand our Constitution unless you have an informed view that it is informed by the Declaration of Independence.
All right, we've
Now,
got to leave it
maybe,
there. We are out of time. I hate to break this off, but fair and balanced debate, Congressman Lundgren, Annie Laurie Gaylor, we'd love to have you back to discuss it more. We're out of time for now. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, social media experts want it. Companies are realizing the need for a stronger online presence and social networks.